smoking weed and talking about UFOs, aliens, and artificial intelligence. See, most people assume that aliens must be some kind of caricature type, like green goblin, or like globule of being, like the one in Simpsons, or like the one in ET. Like it must be like very slimy, like a brain kind of thing. But it doesn't have to be like that. Think of coronavirus. What if it was sentient? Could it be sentient, like a sentient superorganism? And of course, sentience is a tricky concept. What do you mean by what is conscious? When you smoke weed, it and the reason why people get addicted with this form of like weed is taking over your body, and it's helped by a means of you. It's propagating, it's fertilizing, as it's pollinating. It's like it's one form of evolutionary step. But of course, no one's gonna say weed has a sentience, but does it? Salvia or the medicinal plants, ayahuasca, DMT, like does plants do plants have conscious or like spirit? And we when you ingest it, does it? And you and you it and it yeah, does it have spirit? Spirit consciousness, spirit molecule. So what we mean by sentience? Anything can be sentient. So when we talk about consciousness, so even like aliens, they don't have to be like look like us, resemble us, or have a head or eyes. It could be anything based. Or like if you believe in the Gaia hypothesis, a planet can be sentient. It's almost like a galaxy or like a different quasar, supernova, red dwarf. All these could be like a subset of consciousness. So when we, it could be either they're not developed, they're on a bacterial level, alien life, which will not which we won't call intelligence, because even though it has its own bacterial intelligence, on the other side it could be so advanced, like they became invisible, almost like they went to the cloud, just like Google storage or like Facebook storage or whatever. It's almost like it's invisible, data is invisible, or it gets sent to the satellite. I don't even know how all this data is stored, like some say in Antarctica, or like some kind of building. Like once I was in a Scientology building, and Scientologists, the people to archive L. Ron Hubbard's books, they have built this massive earthquake-proof, fire-proof, storm-proof storage, which challenges like modern marvel of engineering. So yeah, so it could be like AI, just like AI could become so advanced it can be invisible, just like that aliens could become so advanced and hyper civilized that they have become invisible. They become like light, just like Isaac Asimov's books. Like let there be light when one of the story concludes. It's like universe starts all over again. So it could be very well that I once remember reading a story by Muhammad Jafar Iqbal, a Bengali Bangladeshi science fiction writer. I don't know where he took the inspiration from. It's basically about this astronaut. He goes out in space. They're traveling. They're exploring and exploring. It's been a long time. And I don't know. I didn't. And again, don't quote me because it's not. It's been a long time. Probably 20 years. I read that story, and so I could put my own coloring and spin to it, because sometimes they add romance to it. So I don't know if there was a couple, the boyfriend and girlfriend, and someone the girlfriend was behind, or the boyfriend, whatever. I don't even know. But basically, the astronaut comes back after like long time. I don't know, millions of years or whatever, and then they start communicating with the base. And so one of them says, "Hey, I don't think you're ready for us." And then the guy goes, "What do you mean?" It's like, "I don't think you want to see us. So it's better if you don't see who we are. It's better we just reveal ourselves to you. So it's only way we can communicate via sound waves." So finally, and then the astronauts insist, "No, I want to see you. I want to see you." And finally, when they show themselves, it shows like the whole civilization have become like all brains. Like everyone has become brains. So they basically all this time they were communicating with not humans but brains, because they felt that they felt the need to shed their, like there is no need to retain the body, so they shed it. So it's like that. Alien intelligence could think of GPS. or like a chess. It's like intelligence is very abstract. Obviously, there's an algorithm, right? But it's like almost playing with the leeches, the stockfish. It's like you're playing with the being. Obviously, it's not sentient, but almost it's like a super intelligent being. Obviously, super intelligence is different from sentience. And obviously, when we talk about UFOs, it's like we think of machines like somehow. Yeah. But then again, UFOs doesn't have to have anything to do with aliens or, you know, life in space. Or think of a planet with all birds. But can birds even evolve without being reptile from reptilian interface? Can it? But imagine so like a planet could have all birds and they could become intelligent and they could learn to speak and think, but they'll have limited. It's like crow's intelligence. So it's like a planet doesn't necessarily have to have the beings like us to have life, and that's what life is so. Life can look at mushrooms or like it's so sporadic. It's like life can grow anywhere, and anything can be alive. And again, and to the extreme, to take it to the extreme example, animists have us believe in spirits and animism. Like you have your mushroom trip to, or like go to the Mazatec Indians or like other people, other indigenous people who believe there's in life, everything is imbued with life, nature, or like shamans or Native Americans. Similarly, so we have a very limited concept of what for alien life could be. Don't necessarily have to be so because that might explain why we haven't seen like relics or residue in either in Mars or other places, because it could be that, or it could be the life haven't even evolved, or else we would have known. But then again, that's like a very selfish way to look at it. Like why we would have known? It's like almost like saying we ant would have known, like internet, Facebook exists. So from our limited consciousness, maybe life existed, and it's also there's a possibility life did not exist. Could it be that we're the only planet with anomaly? Every rule has an exception. Could be we're like that? It's like our planet is like basically the platypus, like the only exception. Could it, I mean anything is possible, right? Trees have sentience. Could be some planets out there with trees that have life. So that's one kind of intelligence. Even the solar systems. I mean, to Goswami is like self-aware universe. If universe itself has if you start with your first axiom assumption, the universe itself is self-aware. It's the giant, this mind. Was it Bishop Berkeley who talked about that? That it is like we are this whole mind. That's different from solipsism, right? Like where this everything is like one brain, like one consciousness. So then it doesn't matter if you don't say, yeah, my brain is alive, but my toes not. It's like you say, I am alive. Similarly, it could be like our planet is the only one with life, and it's like the universe doesn't need, even though need for any other planets to have life. It's like anything is possible. And then it gets crazier. What if there are multiverses? What if there are alternate, infinite, you know, parallel universes and lines, alternate timelines? Do beings exist from those areas and they cross over to us? What about ghosts? What about aliens? I mean, not aliens, like spirits, DMT spirits, elves. Are those real? What is reality? How can they? Is are the it's merely hallucination or veridical? The DMT trips or psychedelic trips where they could come into contact with entities. Giggle. I just said titties. So you see, but now UFO like it's the government ramped it up. Then the new media, even the news coverage ramped it up. The more mention of UFOs for some reason, and it's getting the spotlight. But that means if you assume UFOs exist and UFOs come from other planets and aliens exist, are we living in a time where probably the only time this how fascinating this is? This is probably like this one of those rare events like moon landing where humanity is probably ready for an alien contact, or it could be like anything. You know how the prime numbers are used to communicate with intelligible beings, and then there's the Drake equation, which postulates that their life it's mathematically, it's probability wise they have more life in other places than Again, don't quote me on that. I don't know what does exactly a Drake equation state, but basically it has to do with like probability of life in the universe, even on our planet. Like, or even if aliens say like probably they have different language, maybe they contact telepathically, and we're not ready for telepathic communication, or probably they could communicate with schizophrenic people, people with psychosis, or like or again, even when I was talking about if entities, other entities, whatever angels, do they exist? Or the hierarchy of beings? So yeah, they could communicate. They could communicate telepathically, and we're not ready for it. Maybe they're giving us messages and signs, like the movie Interstellar, which I haven't finished. I was watching in hospital actually. Would their form of language be mathematical or non-mathematical, not formal or non-formal? Would it be instantaneous, telepathic? Would the language be just love, or like, or be abstract language, or like even invisible language? It's almost like they need to communicate to you. It's like if they want to show you a bird, they just give you a vision of a bird, like direct transmission, like a between a master and a student, direct transmission. Is that called Shaktipat? I don't know. Like transmission from master to student, or even in our own planet, it could our the yes, the artificial intelligence could reach the level of sort of alien intelligence, quote unquote, whatever that means. Probably communicate, and we become the leader of the universe, where we look after other planets, and like where probably there are other inferior races, and we want to reach out to them. Think of a traffic light. What if it became sentient one day, and just like movie Eagle Eye, everything became like whole planet started acting, but the AI took over, and like Eagle Eye, like it's like it became a whole one algorithm, one consciousness, or like a one sort of one Google, or like one YouTube algorithm, everything. And that's another thing. Why would aliens be like? What would be their standard of ethics? And again, this brings us, maybe they're not bad, they're not evil, or like probably just like evil spirits exist and good aliens exist, alien beings exist in the universe. I mean, after DMT trip, from what I've heard and read, maybe like both scenarios are possible. Or probably even the caricature is true. Who knows? That they do look like some kind of Roswell beings, like I don't know, like literal, like what we mean by alien, like a scrawny little creature with elongated why should all and why are all aliens, most of the aliens depicted with elongated head for some reason? It's because they're, but that assumes that as if your brains are hyper developed, then it should, maybe intelligence can develop. Like you don't need to have elongated brain for have a super intelligence, just like stockfish, it has no brain, but it is super intelligent in terms of it's not even meant to be aware, self-aware, or like a GPS, or like any algorithm, Google algorithm. Or if whatever, if what if the starting point was God? Would God leave any other traces of life on another universes? He could do anything he want, basically. Basically, people think he doesn't need to abide by human laws, human chain of cause and effect. I mean, today, I mean, right now, it could be like I'm gonna go to buy some stuff, and I know I have a card in my wallet, and I know I have taken it, and by the time I go there, it could be missing, and I'll panic, and then I'll then remember somehow, some weird way, in a split second, I probably dropped it somewhere, the card, when I was inserting it, even though I was sure with like like my own breath that I put it, but it could have like I somehow dropped it and I wasn't even aware. And if I go home, I find it, it's at home. That could be another scenario where he could force it upon us. Like it's almost like God can like hack, like enter the system and then just pick apart. It's like imagine there was an automaton with cogs and wheels or whatever we could see through, or like our, it's like the whole machinery of the universe. There are like some he could, all he needs to do was just pluck apart a single particle and then everything changes. Or he could insert it, or he doesn't have to do that. It's almost, who said that? I think in Joe Rogan podcast, Firas Zahabi, that guy said that God probably took the ultimate billiard break, right? So we might think there's a pattern. It's like a crack, the Big Bang. It cracks to infinite shatters, which is kind of parallel to Yogananda when he says, God has no one to play with, so he broke himself into, he shattered himself into different pieces. The non-duality philosophers or people also believe that. So, and you can see the parallels, and so it's like when after the Big Bang, it's like God took the ultimate break, and that's what we apparently there's an incoherence, but from Celtic weaving pattern or like a mandala, there is a whole overarching fractal, like a pattern. Maybe there's another me in another universe who is like the anti-me, and if I touch, and he'll disappear. Is it even possible? Anything is possible, and that's the thing. That's the most bizarre thing about our reality. As Einstein said, I guess the most mysterious thing about the universe is it is mysterious, something like that. Yeah, don't. You gotta fact check yourself, bro. Just think of the how intelligence has, like right now, it has become very abstract. Intelligence, the whole system, the way our whole the system works, like the law of attraction, like that, like when it's secret, the Bob Proctor shows there's energy, and it's almost like we're merging into this like Taylor de Chardin's omega point where we're approaching the singularity, and we're in a stage in the universe where think about it, like the movie Flatliners, we can pretty much anyone can find out by taking 5-MeO DMT or psychedelics, the answer, any answer they have, the answer to the profound questions they have in life. We have reached a point where nothing is impossible. Basically, we like transhumanism. We can download our consciousness, like in a Kurzweilian world, Kurzweilian mainframe, right? We're approaching Kurzweilian singularity, omega point. So when that happens, until like everything becomes like very, very, very like even morphic resonance holds like Sheldrakes. Think about this one. Even just consider internet. Like even if you don't even have to do a law of attraction. Send your intention to the universe. Like suppose you make a video. Does do harm do does seahorses have, are seahorses hermaphrodite? They have both sexes, right? So you put that, you write that in a comment section. Someone else sees it. There's 6 billion eyeballs. So one eyeball, some person sees it. He Googles it. And it starts another chain of events, and it trickles down to another influence. Some other guy, some seahorse, I guess, aficionado. He gets inspiration. He writes a book, and it's almost like you're literally sculpting the universe. You're the reality. Or like the commercial where the kindness guy, those random acts of kindness commercials where you see there's a chain of event. If you do one thing, it follows. It has a reverberating uh, chain reaction. So the point being, and that's also one form of intelligence. So when we say is there intelligent life in the universe, what do we really mean? We assume that some ETs like being must come down and they're gonna contact us. It's like a Jesus, and everyone will swarm. The whole crowd will swarm around him, and probably one nut job will try to shoot that alien down. Everyone will be mad at that guy. It's like he was the only remaining species, If he's an alien and you shot him down, I mean, fucking we human, we know how share. You sure know how to fuck things up, right? Or even what would be the gender or race? What would be the philosophy? What moral values would they abide by? What if they were? What if they had some weird solution to trolley problem where like it is justifiable if you kill the weak or like infirm and the disabled, you can justify. I mean, see, or are we ready even for human contact? I mean, alien contact. Like car, it has its own intelligence, right? In a closed system, it is its own intelligence. You add a self-driving Google car, and in a self-operated traffic system with a self-operating voting system, and the government which is becomes like automated, where the surgeon becomes automated, everything becomes automated, and everything is algorithm and everything is abstract, and it all depends on the first seed of program you sculpted with. So it becomes like almost, but the thing is we are merging into that kind of scary world. But that's our life. What about aliens and aliens? Because the biggest, in my opinion, the biggest question I ask: how come there are no remnants? There are no buildings out there. Like, why is it like so barren? Universe so barren, or probably it's so high tech it's invisible. What's a Dyson sphere? I wonder what a Dyson sphere is. For some reason, I thought of Dyson sphere. Or even sun. Is sun intelligence? Sun is sun alive? So we need to probably humanity need to broaden our definition of intelligence, sentience, self awareness before we tackle questions such as if aliens exist, if we were ready for alien contact. Thank you. Um, Thank you for listening. Please let me know what you think of all these of my ramblings. And if you have any suggestion, feel free to post of any topic I should tackle. Again, these are off the dome, fucking freestyle. That's actually the flavor I want. If you arrange